Peace, everybody. What's good? It's that boy, Coach Malachi Williams, and you are number 2 of the True Media Today USA Boxing. Let's go.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble.
All right, everybody, check this out. We had a good fight this weekend, with not only with Caleb Plant and David Benavidez, but also with Chris Colbert, the co-main event, and Jose Valenzuela, right? So now El Rayo. So El Rayo, a lot of people felt like that El Rayo got robbed in the Chris Colbert fight. I have not looked at the fight again. When I initially saw the fight, I did think that El Rayo won the fight based on my initial watching of it. Sometimes you got to watch some of these fights twice. I remember when I watched Tony Harrison versus Jamel Charlo fight, the first one, I thought that Jamel Charlo had won the fight. Because Jamel Charlo was landing the harder shots. He hurt Tony Harrison multiple times in the fight. You know what I mean? Y'all see my dog back there. But, my daughter's dog. But, when I went back and looked at it again, I did kind of see what the judges saw. And remember in that fight, the judges scored it, I think it was like 115, 113, across the board or something of that sort. A unanimous decision for Tony Harrison. And a lot of people felt that, Jamel Charlo got robbed, and then some people felt, no, Tony Harrison did enough to win the fight. So I think that this is the case. This case right here, where this is a situation where, a lot of people feel that El Rayo won the fight, but then when you go back and look at it again, maybe, Kris Cobra did enough to win the fight, and that's how the judges saw it. All three judges scored it the same, though, 115, 113, or 115, 114, something of that sort. I think it was like 115, 114, something of that sort. It was like a 1-point difference, all three judges. So a lot of people do feel like, hey, man, it was something fishy with that. And we do know that, man, in the history of boxing, man, fighters have been victims of bad judging, bad decisions, and fighters have benefited from bad decisions. Whether it was Canelo Alvarez, whether it's Floyd Mayweather, he have benefited from bad decisions, and in his favor. Canelo has benefited from bad decisions in his favor. I think it was a fight that I seen before in the past. Pernell Whitaker, that was one that it looked kind of fishy. I thought maybe he could have lost, but they gave it to him unanimous decision. But what Pernell did, he ran it back. I forgot the name of the fighter. He ran it right back, and he beat the brakes off of him in the second fight. He cleared all doubt. So sometimes, some of these fights, you got to run it back. And we do know what happened with Tony Harrison when he fought Jamel Charlo again. And sometimes you got to run these fights back. With Floyd Mayweather Castillo, we know what happened with that. I felt like Floyd lost that first fight, but then he came back and cleared all doubt. So it is what it is. I just sit back, man, and sit back and look at everything. A lot of people are screaming robbery. Do you guys really think it was a robbery? Have you watched the fight only one time, or have you watched it the second time? I would advise a lot of you guys to do what I'm going to do, watch it again. I haven't gotten the opportunity to watch that fight again because I want to sit back and analyze and see exactly, how things played out, how things are going to play, how things played out, so I can really, really give my analysis. I'm going to be honest with you. When I first saw this fight in L.A., I thought Rayo won the fight. As a matter of fact, everybody in the sports bar screamed like no. When it was announced unanimous decision for Kris Cobra, everybody in the sports bar was like, no. Everybody felt like it was a robbery. They felt like El Rayo won the fight, and this was the whole entire sports bar. Now it was a couple of guys that felt like Kris Cobra came back and won the fight. You know what I mean? They were shocked that everyone was shocked that it was a unanimous decision. I don't think that was a unanimous decision victory for Kris Cobra. I think, if anything, it should have been a unanimous decision for El Rayo. But again, El Rayo had an opportunity to knock Kris Colbert out. He didn't. He took his foot off the gas. He let Kris Colbert get back into the fight. He had Kris Colbert hurt on multiple occasions, had him on the ropes. Kris Cobra was in the high guard. Kris Cobra really didn't do any tying up, similar to what Caleb Plant did when he fought Benavidez. He didn't hold him. He didn't tie him up. He was just in the high guard. And I thought several times the ref was going to stop the fight, but he didn't. And then El Rayo backed up. And then, did a lot of times Kris Cobra to come off the ropes, and he'll come out swinging and firing. He was talking to El Rayo in the middle of the ring, like, come on, let's get it, let's get it. And he was coming back, catching El Rayo with some combinations. His jab was looking like it was on point. you know, in certain spots of that fight. But was that enough to give him a unanimous decision? You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking at. Yeah, he was fighting real good in spots, and you know, and there was a lot of close rounds. So what this tells me is this. You know, the judges gave every swing round or every close round to Kris, and they didn't give any of the close rounds or swing rounds to El Rayo. So my question to you guys is this. You know, what would be the motivation behind the judges want to rob El Rayo for Kris Colbert? You get what I'm saying? I get what you're saying. We feel like it was a robbery. Like, neither one of these guys are superstars. You see what I'm saying? If anything, I think El Rayo probably will have a higher ceiling, or he is the one that's getting most of the hype, more so than Kris. Kris did lose in an upset loss to Hector Garcia. Hector Garcia put them paws on him. You get what I'm saying? There was no doubt about that. And Hector Garcia rightfully did win the WBC super featherweight title. You know, after the fight, when they asked Kris Cobra, and when they asked him in the ring, he said, "Man, you want to run it back? He said, "I ran it back. Let's run it back." Because as you know, El Rayo was very upset. He was like, "Man, you know you lost that fight." Kris Cobra was like, "Man, let's run it back. Let's run it back." But El Rayo wasn't trying to hear that. You know, he was mad at Kris. But you know, Kris is not the judges. You know, I understand anybody want to be mad at Kris Cobra, but he's not the judge. You know what I mean? You know, he doesn't have control over what the judges decide. You get what I'm saying? I think a lot of these times when you see fighters, you know, get the benefit of what a lot of people deem as bad judging, a lot of times people get mad at the fighter. But the fighter is not the one that's judging this fight or scoring the fight. The people who are scoring the fight is the judges. So take that into consideration. I've been a victim of that as well. I hated Julio Cesar Chavez, you know what I mean, because I felt like, you know, Pernell Whitaker beat the brakes off of him when they fought each other back in the day. I think in like 1993, and the judges scored the fight a draw. That fight wasn't a draw. So I hated Julio Cesar Chavez based on scoring that he had nothing to do with. You get what I'm saying? He's just a fighter. He didn't have anything to do with that. Old Don King pulled the flim-flam. So do you guys feel like this is the flim-flam that was pulled? And what would be the motivation behind that? You see what I'm saying? What would be the motivation behind someone like, the judges, you know, robbing, if you guys feel that it was a robbery, robbing El Rayo for Kris Colbert? Tell me what you think about that. And for the brothers who feel like, hey, man, it wasn't a robbery, that was a close fight. You know, El Rayo is a sore loser, just like Kris Colbert said. He said he was a sore loser. And when they asked him in the post-press press conference, they said, well, you know, will you give him a rematch? He said, no, hell no. I'm not giving him no rematch. Damn that, he's a sore loser. You know what I mean? If he would have taken it like a man, like I took my loss like a man, I would give it to him. He said, I'm moving back down to my weight division. I'm not a 135-pounder. So Kris did move up to 135. I felt like this. You know, El Rayo had an opportunity to stop Kris Cobra, and he didn't. He didn't stop him. He should have stopped him when he had a chance and take it out of the judge's hands. He had an opportunity. He had Kris Cobra. He knocked him down, and he had him hurt at least 2 or 3 more times throughout that fight, in that 10-round fight. And he didn't knock him out. He didn't even knock him down again. You know what I mean? So I think that if he would have did that, he would have cleared all doubt. He got content. He took his foot off the gas. Now, does that mean that he should have lost the fight? No, it doesn't mean that. But I have to go back and look at that fight again. But this should be a lesson to all fighters. Do not leave it in the hands of the judges. If you got a man hurt, get him out of there. Stop him. You have to thoroughly dominate him every second of every round. Don't let him win some rounds and then come back and then, you know, don't be winning a round and let him come back and maybe steal a round in the end. You have to win every second of every round, because you never know how the judges are going to score the fight. Other than that, that's it. It's about Coach Malachi Williams signing out. 2 minutes today, USA Boxing. See you guys later on today, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Was this a robbery? You know what I mean? Or was this fair scoring? See you guys later on today, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Share this video. Tell a friend and tell a friend and tell another friend that we will be going live today at 3. You know my motto. Don't meet me there, beat me there. Peace.
Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go.